All right, let's talk about a financial tool that, thanks to some recent tax changes, has become an absolute powerhouse. It's what I'd call a true education hack, but it's one that most people have never even heard of. So, what exactly is a 529 plan?
Well, to kick things off, get this. 52% of Americans have no idea what a 529 plan even is. That means over half the country is potentially leaving a seriously powerful financial tool just sitting on the table.
So what's the big deal? What are people really missing out on?
You know, it's a lot more than you might think, especially now. This isn't just about college anymore. The benefits have gotten way, way bigger. Okay, so let's dive right in and break down this overlooked money hack. What is it, and why might it be one of the smartest financial moves a parent could possibly make?
So, at its heart, a 529 plan is really simple. Think of it like a special savings account, kind of like an IRA or a 401k, but it's built specifically for education. But here's the kicker. The real story is all about the huge tax perks. And yeah, those tax perks, that's where the real magic happens. We're not just talking about one little benefit here, we're talking about a triple tax advantage that can save you a serious amount of money over time.
It's this powerful triple threat. First up, your money grows completely tax-free. No capital gains, no taxes on dividends, nothing. Second, when you pull that money out for qualified education costs, those withdrawals are also 100% tax-free. And third, to top it all off, your state might even give you a tax deduction just for putting money in.
Now, this is where we gotta bust the biggest myth about 529s. Seriously, if you hear 529 and the only thing that comes to mind is college tuition, it is definitely time for an update, because these plans have become so much more flexible.
The old way of thinking was that this money was kind of locked in, only good for college tuition and maybe some books. But the new reality? Oh, it's a completely different ballgame. Thanks to some big changes, you can use it for everything from private school for your middle schooler to apprenticeships and even rolling it over into a Roth IRA.
And this is a game changer for parents with younger kids. You can now use 529 funds for stuff like tutoring, fees for standardized tests like the SAT, homeschool curriculum, online learning programs, and even for those dual enrollment college classes your kid might take while they're still in high school.
And this, right here, this tackles the #1 fear I hear from parents. But what if my kid doesn't go to college? Well, the good news is you've got a ton of options now. The money can be used for trade school or career training. You can just switch the beneficiary to another family member, like a grandchild. You can use it to pay down student loans. Or, and this one is a really big deal, you can roll it over to a Roth IRA.
Let's zoom in on that Roth IRA thing for a sec, because honestly, this is huge. You can now roll over up to $35,000. That's a lifetime maximum from a 529 plan directly into your kid's Roth IRA, completely tax-free and penalty-free. I mean, what an incredible way to give them a massive head start on retirement if they don't use all the education money.
And what about existing student debt? The plan now lets you use up to $10,000 to pay down qualified student loans, and that can be for the beneficiary or even for one of their siblings. It's just another layer of flexibility that makes these plans so much more useful today than they were a few years ago. All right, so we've got the what and the why down. So how does this whole thing actually work? Let's look at the engine that makes the money grow and the rules of the road you really need to know.
This is where you really get to see that tax-free growth in action. So, for example, let's say you invest $5,000 when your child is born. With the power of compounding, that could easily turn into $15,000 over 18 years. And when you go to use it for education, that whole amount, all 15 grand, is yours to keep, completely tax-free.
Now, here's a key detail you gotta know. 529 plans are run by individual states, and while you can open a plan in almost any state you want, your home state might offer you some special perks, like that tax deduction we talked about if you use their specific plan. And listen, some states are unbelievably generous. Maine, for example, will actually match 30% of what you put in, up to $300 a year. Other states, like Arizona and Pennsylvania, will give you a tax deduction even if you invest in some other state's 529 plan. The benefits really vary, so it pays to check.
So how do you figure out what your state offers? It is seriously this easy. Just pop open a search engine and type the name of your state plus the phrase 529 taxes.
You'll have your answer in like 30 seconds.
All right, so let's say I've convinced you, and you're thinking, okay, I'm in, what do I do next? Here are a couple of simple, practical first steps to just get the ball rolling.
Now here's a really important piece of advice you'll get from pretty much any financial pro out there. You gotta prioritize your own retirement first. So make sure you're contributing enough to your 401k or Roth IRA before you go all in on a 529. Once that's covered, you can start your 529 plan, even if it's just with a small amount.
And if you're kind of stuck on, okay, but how much should I actually be saving? Here's a great little rule of thumb. Just take the estimated cost of 1 year at a university you're targeting and divide it by 5. That right there, that's a solid, achievable savings goal for the year. It's just a simple trick to make a huge number feel totally manageable.
So let's bring it all home. When you look at that triple tax advantage, the incredible new flexibility, and the raw power of compounding growth, there's really only one conclusion to draw. If you're raising kids and looking for a tax-smart way to save for their future, these 529 plans are a total no-brainer.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Your child's future, their potential, their opportunities, all of it is compounding every single day. The real question is your savings plan doing the same?